I am Niall McGrath. This is the forecast. So, as I said, lots to get through this week. Let's talk about Collin Morikawa last weekend. Really good performance from Collin. Actually, Batia, what about you, son? Totally, in my opinion, really should have won that event. There was just, a 5-shot lead going into the weekend there. The weather really never got as bad. It was pretty nasty at one point, I think, on Friday evening, but actually maintained a 5-shot lead on Friday evening going into the weekend. At a 2-shot lead on Saturday night, and then just really nothing happened from the final round. But Collin Morikawa pushed on to get the victory there in pretty cool circumstances. And it's over 3 years since his last win, so it's one of these wins that sort of came out of nowhere. You didn't really see it coming last week. He was so bad last week, like fluff and chips and all around the green, but then goes out to Pebble and gets a result like that. Unbelievable stuff from Collin, in my opinion. Don't particularly fancy him this week. You just never know what you're going to get. It's going to be an interesting one for Collin now, see if he can kick on and show more consistency in his game after that win, because that's obviously been a major issue for him over the last couple of years. But really good to see. Gets a healthy paycheck as well, 3.8 million for the win at Pebble. I was a little bit disappointed because the weather forecaster was saying it was going to be hit 35 mile per hour winds on the Sunday, and it never really got going. So I saw sort of different weather reports to what the broadcast were saying. So I don't know if it was sort of to keep people interested, because I think they might have thought Akshay might have ran away with it during his obviously heading into the weekend after that 5-shot lead on the Saturday night. We did have a return on Shane Lowry. If you went on Shane each way, you would have picked up an each way bet if you were on the 8 places. I'll just pull that up there. So there we have it. There is the leaderboard at the weekend. Collin Morikawa, Minwoo Lee, Sepp Straka, Scheffler. It wasn't the greatest week for us. Good few surprises in there. Tommy Fleetwood did finish well. I'm not saying that's a surprise. I'm saying it is a little bit of a surprise, considering he wasn't doing too well on the DP World Tour. This was obviously his PGA Tour debut for the season. Didn't play well in Dubai when he was over there a couple of weeks ago, but great to see Collin Morikawa get back in the win circle and up to number 5 now in the world. Also, we've got to talk about it, and it is up on the YouTube channel. Boom. Anthony Kim's win. Incredible stuff from AK. Unbelievable stuff to get over the line, as we said. And the interesting thing here is what I'm going to mention is just the improvement, because last year he was so unbelievably bad, coming back in. Nothing was happening for him. He was, everything was flat. He was shanking the ball, finishing dead last. But he's put so much. I don't know if you follow him on IG or anything, the videos up there on the YouTube channel. The guy is an absolute workhorse, and obviously he had all those issues in the past. He went missing for 10 years. And I remember, at the time, there was rumors that, he was playing pro poker professionally, and, he's had a really rough time with addiction issues after being such an unbelievable talent on the PGA Tour when he was younger. 2008 Ryder Cup comes to mind. Plenty of moments like that. I think the Shell Houston was the last event he won in 2008 before things went south for him. But just a remarkable story, and get the Hollywood film out now, because it's only a matter of time before they get this guy on the red carpet, because there is going to be a film made of his life story, because there's a lot we don't know still, but an unbelievable story and an unbelievable comeback. And it's actually quite funny, because I did try to get him on for an interview a couple of years ago, and I was texting him back and forth on Instagram, and lovely guy, didn't work out an interview or anything yet, but a really good guy, a man of God as well. So he's really one of the incredible career comebacks, in my opinion. And the guys he chased down as well, Bryson DeChambeau and Sergio Garcia, or Bryson DeChambeau and John Ram, incredible. He was 5 shots behind at one point. You can watch the highlights on the YouTube there if you haven't seen it already. Just absolutely outrageous from AK. Hats off to you. Incredible story, inspirational story, in my opinion, from Anthony. A big win for LIV as well. It's been such a bad sort of start to the year for them, losing Patrick Reed and Brooks Koepka, and then a lot of the signings fell through that they tried to get in. So it is a massive win for LIV and a sort of a branding, because this went viral and mainstream everywhere. With Anthony Kim after that win, and just as said, an incredible story. And if you don't know, check out his story. It's really is remarkable. And maybe this can be really interesting if he can kick on. And obviously, there's some world golf ranking points. He's gone from, I think, 2,000 up to 200 and something after that win, with the new world ranking points in LIV. So it's going to be really interesting to see if he maybe, I think the Masters is probably too soon for him to get an invitation, but maybe like the PGA Championship or something like that would be really interesting to see. So hats off to Anthony Kim for just an incredible win with LIV Golf. Also want to mention Tiger Woods hasn't ruled out a Masters return, but take that with a pinch of salt, in my opinion. He's obviously trying to get back in there, but he sort of mentioned as well that he can't actually play full rounds without a caddy or without a cart. So interesting one there. A lot of contradictions in that. I just think he says a lot of things without really saying anything at all in terms of what Tiger says. Ryder Cup also didn't rule out captaincy. He sort of actually hinted that he was offered it for Adair Manor, which would be great to see Tiger captain against Luke Donald here in Ireland. The battles they used to have as world number 1 and 2 in the world. When Luke was sort of knocking around as world number 1. So that'll be a great matchup for him to be captain for, in my opinion. And he also mentioned the tour schedule, as I touched on there a few moments ago. I think what they're going to do is maybe start the sort of imply that they might start do all the playoffs in California next year. So it's going to be interesting if they do that. And I think it'd be great if the PGA Tour schedule hit a couple of events in Europe and maybe even Australia. I think that's more unlikely because the tour is obviously very much based in America, bar 2 or 3 events, co-sanctioned events in Japan, and obviously the Scottish Open is pretty much the only one, I think, obviously in partnership with Genesis, this week's tournament sponsors at Riviera. So that is interesting. You also mentioned Brooks Koepka and Reed's return. He was pretty happy with that. He didn't really say anything further to add to that. It was very complimentary in Anthony Kim, but it is going to be interesting to see what happens with the tour schedule next year, if it's going to be totally shut down, and it is going to be a shorter schedule from the sounds of from all the PGA Tour brass that we've heard so far. Okay, if you want to get any comments, anything like that, drop them in down below. Niall McGrath 4 on social media, or as I said, that's Instagram, everywhere, all that. You see my Instagram handle there, so you can get involved and bring up whatever you want to talk about. We can hard hit and talk a bit of smack, but a really interesting week, in the golf world as well. And something that really wasn't picked up on an awful lot in the last number of days is Justin Thomas has been cleared for a return to the PGA Tour after back surgery. So that is great news. He's going to play at TGL next week, I believe. And then I would doubt he will come back at Bay Hill. I'd say he probably wouldn't mind playing a week before that, which I think the Cognizant is probably the destination where we'll see Justin Thomas come back, because he lives in that area of the world as well. So it's just great to have Justin back. It's very much sort of Scheffler time where they came back in last year. So delighted for him, multiple major winner, 2-time major winner, back in the field, and it's great for the PGA Tour as well to have a guy of his stature and talent back. So I'm a big fan of Justin Thomas, and just thought I'd bring up that one as well. Okay, going to take a short little break for 2 seconds, and then we're going to get back and we're going to talk about what's coming ahead this week at the Genesis Invitational, back at Riviera after the fires last year, when the event was obviously forced to be played in Torrey Pines. So we'll talk about it in a second.
All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right.
So back on there. Sorry to jump off for a few minutes. But it's time to get the picks in. Unbelievable week coming up. Riviera, Tiger's event. He's obviously not playing, but we're going to get a winner this week. Unlucky last week, Shane Lowry each way came in. If you had him backed on the each way, finishing tied 8th. But, I'm back in the Hideki Matsuyama train this week. I'm not going to lie, guys. Definitely seeing just really good signs. I think I said at the start of the season, I think Hideki's going to have an incredible year this year. I didn't expect him to go too well at Pebble last week, and finishing where he did says to me that he's going to have a really, really, and the putter looked better than it's looked in quite some time, even after that second place finish at the WM Phoenix Open. He finished tied 8th last week. So if we're looking at just solid all round all season, won the Hero Challenge in December, tied 13th at Sunny Wine, tied 11th at the Farmers Insurance, tied 2nd at the WM. Oh, don't talk about that. At least I got a cash out. And then obviously tied 8th last weekend at Pebble. Iron play, unbelievable. Driver looked much better last week than it has looked. Obviously the Phoenix Open, it was bloody dire in that final round, which ultimately cost him, in my opinion. He's won on this track before, finished 2024 he won. Obviously last year it was at Torrey Pines because of the fires at Riviera. So yeah, no, I'm really big on Hideki this week. Irons, putting looked way better off the tee last week. Big chance here after winning 2024. Just love what I see from Hideki this season. Just want to touch on it. Obviously, Rory McIlroy's never won here, Scotty. Rory again last weekend. We just touch on it. Just inconsistency in certain holes. Like there was 2 trebles, couple of doubles thrown in there. That's going to be really hard to get away from those errors. So many errors. Everywhere else, like he probably should have won last week. Some of his play was that good, but it's just about cutting out all those errors. And around a track he hasn't won on, I'm not too sure. I don't like Rory's price. You're going to get him at like what's he 10-1? Scotty obviously 2-3-1. I don't know. I just don't like the odds on either of those guys this week going in. Scotty's a good record around here, but I'm not going to be having to play in them. Scotty has been so good literally every bloody week, bar sort of maybe half a round even that's maybe cost him. Could easily go out and win this week. I don't like McIlroy, I have to say. I think the club sort of messing around is a little bit of a concern heading in if you're looking at putting something on Rory McIlroy. So Hideki definitely on my list this week, as I said there. We're going to talk about Matt Fitzpatrick now. Definitely hot on Fitzy. I think people, especially if you're not from this side of the pond and you don't follow the DP World Tour, absolutely fantastic over there at the DP World Tour Championship back in December, finishing first. Brilliant performance from him to take that title. American Express wasn't great. First start in the PGA Tour season. You never really expect a guy to go out and win his first start unless it's Scotty Scheffler. Of guys of that sort of ilk. But yeah, like what do we see? We saw Phoenix Open tied 9th, tied 14th last week, striking the irons unbelievably well. Driver looks really good. I'm really liking what I've seen from Matt Fitzpatrick this season to start things off. Best ever finish here as well, tied 5th, 2021. It's one of those courses where you get guys sort of, they miss the cut and then they'll come back and maybe one year they'll finish tied 5th, 6th, 7th and then eventually win. Your records around here, you can miss cuts and go and win here. This is the interesting thing about this course, why it's so testing and tricky. So yeah, I do like what I've seen from Matt Fitzpatrick as well, and you're going to get a really nice, tasty price on him at 49-1 on the exchange this week. Obviously not as long on the sports book for obvious reasons, but if you're liking that, I do. I'm going to get it on that this week. I think Matt's going to go well around this track, and he's obviously played well here before. So I do like that. Some really good stats as well if you want to see on pjtour.com from Matt Fitzpatrick. And let's get on to the next one. Who's the next pick this week? Sam Burns. Interesting one this week. And no one's really talking about Sam. I thought he played really well last weekend. Was in the mix for a certain amount of time. Fell off a little bit in that final round, but tied sixth. So really a lot of good signs from Sam Burns last week. Putting looked good. A guy who's really underachieved in my opinion. He got mugged at the US Open last year. I do thoroughly believe that. I've talked about that, the lie in the water, where he didn't get relief, which was crazy, which cost him the tournament at the US Open. But seen some good signs. American Express, we came out tied 27th. Here at World Challenge doesn't really obviously count. December, WM Phoenix Open missed the cut, and then last week at Pebble looked really good. Some really good iron play, solid off the tee. And you're going to need to be good everywhere around here. So that's why I'm really edging obviously towards Matsuyama as my one and done. But I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Sam Burns last week. So probably a little bit down in that sort of midfield in terms of who I would actually pick, but definitely a good chance for me coming in here this week in Los Angeles. So liking what I'm seeing from Sam Burns. Sepp Straka, this is a bit of an odd one for me. It's a little bit like Sepp tends to do this, and he comes out of nowhere, you know. Played okay at the WM Phoenix Open. It's probably that final round push to get back in there. Some missed putts. I do have concerns over the putter with Sepp, but beautiful iron play. I think you're going to need it around here, especially from the sort of 200 yards to 175 yards in approach to the green. You're going to need to be really solid around here. And the likes of Sepp Straka at 64-1 as well. I think that's a tasty bet for a guy whose irons are as good as around here. But the putter does need to be on with Sepp, and sometimes it's not. And I think really he's put a lot of stuff behind him since that missed cut at the Amex. He was defending champion as well at the Amex. That was a bit of a surprise. So steady progression from him. Obviously finished second last week. Really solid stuff from Sepp Straka, which, you know, I think he's going to go really, really well this week. Tasty price as well on the sports book. Also, Jake Knapp, like, you got to be on the Knapp. You know, you got to be on the Knapp. Knapp of the week. Man, the guy's just playing so good this season. Like, why should it stop now? You know, why should Jake Knapp take his foot off the pedal? Like, we've seen tied 11th, tied 5th, 8th, tied 8th in his last two. Actually, sorry, he returned money with him back last week as well. That's two he had actually returned. I didn't realise he was tied 8th. I thought he was further back the field. But listen, it was a slow round, final round last week. Got himself back into contention. Hold out a couple of times last week. He's just a good all-round player everywhere. And it's something you need around this track. Good off the tee. Really good iron player. Some lovely wedge shots he puts in. We saw him holding out last week. And there was 2 eagles on his third round, I believe. Or his Friday round, second round. And then obviously a bit of a stale round on the Sunday. But he got himself right back in contention on the Saturday night with an eagle on 18 at Pebble. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing again. It's like Hideki sort of knocking around. This is his first time actually playing here as well. Last year, obviously, he was in Torrey Pines, as we said, due to the fires. So this is his first outing here. But he does have a good record around California, I believe. He has a couple of course records in the area where he's actually from Costa Mesa, not too far from there. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Knapp, and I just can't get away from him at that sort of odds this week. If you want to take a look at that again there, like 49-1, Sam Burns and Jake Knapp, especially Jake. I think Jake's one of those guys, along with Hideki, Matt Fitzpatrick, that you sort of, you know, he started the season so well, and he's playing such good golf that you don't really want to get away from him at the moment. And as I said there last week, it probably should say 2 winners in terms of pulling each ways, because he finished tied 8th alongside Shane Lowry, who we're going to get on to now. Shane has been, problem with Shane has, and I've said it for years, and they seem to be finally picking it up now in some of the broadcasts we listen to, and it is the putter with Shane. It's those putts from inside 10 feet have been an absolute nightmare for him for the last number of years. Probably the best chipper on tour, in my opinion. This will set up well for him. His iron play is immaculate, is so good. The long irons, especially, you're looking at 175 to 200 again. Shane Lowry's fantastic. Wedges, brilliant as well. It's just the putting that does really let him down. It has cost him a lot of tournaments, in my opinion. We saw that Dubai Invitational, where he skyrocketed that chip from the bunker, and obviously went in the water, and it was leading that tournament going down. The last finished tied 3rd, and then obviously last week, really good start at Pebble Beach, where he's played good. We said that last week that he was going to go well. I didn't really like him for the win last week. I don't particularly like him again for the win this week. I'd probably have a little playing him on the sports book this week if I was gonna, and doing each way. Same with Sepp Straka, due to possibly the putting issues. But I do really like the other four that we've picked in there this week. And Lowry's actually his best finish. I just want to go to the best finishes there. I'm just pulling them up. There is some good finishes there. Okay, there's the odds again. So Lowry's best finish at the Genesis, tied 13th in 2022. And, it keeps along what we were saying about, guys going there, like missing cuts, and then getting sort of top 20 finishes and then pushing on for a win. And I think, all the guys we have there this week, bar Jake Knapp, who's making his debut at the event, Sam Burns, third in 2021, Fitzpatrick, fifth in 2021. It's a horses for courses setup, and these guys are playing really good golf at the moment. So that's what I would sort of bring into this when they've been in the mix here before. And they obviously haven't got over the line, bar Hideki Matsuyama, who's won this. I really like what we have there this week in terms of lines with the bookies. According to Data Golf here, which I often use, it's going to, in 2024, it favoured accuracy, and 2023 it favoured bombers. It's going to be a lot of rain in California as well. So that's going to come into play, in my opinion, in terms of, this is going to further push my case for picking these guys, because the greens are going to be receptive. The ball is going to, they can go for the greens a lot more. It's going to shoot Scotty. It's going to suit Scotty really well if he can dial in his distance control. But all the guys we have there mentioned, especially like Shane Lowry. Lowry's a hot week with the putter. He could be winning this. Same with Sepp Straka, because their iron play is so good. But I'm just going to go with the informed guys in terms of Hideki, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Sam Burns. Been unbelievable starts to the season. A couple more I want to mention if you fancy sort of a longer bet. Didn't have much luck with Lucas Glover last week. Listen, I think I even see Lucas Glover here 870 to 1. Absolutely wild odds. I might have a €2 play on that, but I wouldn't go much more than that. That's an outrageously ridiculous price for a player of his ball striking quality. Didn't play particularly well last week, but I'm a really small punt on that. But two others I want to mention. Maverick McNeely, playing some good golf this season. Was in the mix a little bit there last week, but didn't eventually get over the line. I'd have a little look at him as well if you want something alternative to what we said there, 64 to 1. So yeah, that's what I like this week. I think Scotty's going to be right up there in terms of probably winning the event. But Hideki, if I had to go one and done this week, it will be Hideki again. I just love what I've seen this year, and we came so close a couple of weeks ago to win, and we're going to get a winner soon. So yeah, I'm really hot on Hideki. Just love it. So anyway, listen, any conversations you want me to have, anything you want me to talk about, drop in the comments below. Do like, subscribe, share, hit that whatever the button it's called, the pump vibe button, and get involved with the show. I'm on social media at Niall McGrath 4, on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Niall McGrath 1. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this weekend. It's going to be another. I'm off tomorrow, so I'm going to have a pint, go watch the golf, put a few punts on, and potentially we get a winner this weekend. I think we've been so close the last couple of weeks. Obviously we've had, I basically had a winner with Hideki because I cashed out at a good price, but we had obviously Patrick Reed on the GP World Tour a number of weeks ago. I think it was 3 weeks ago now, which returned massively for us. But really interesting week ahead in California, and yeah, I think we're going to get a winner. So from Niall McGrath, it is good luck tonight. Enjoy the golf. Gets underway tomorrow. Actually, let's have a little. Hang on, 1 sec before we go. A little look at the tee times. Who's out where tomorrow? Because I think there is some actually pretty good groupings. The tour have announced it gets underway from I think 4 o'clock Irish time as well. Tee times get off. It gets underway at 3:15 local time here in Ireland. Sammy Valmaki, Poston, and Rico Hoey. That's someone who actually might go out. Oh, sorry, my phone's gone off there. And also, yeah, there's some really good groups there. Griffin, Bradley, Burns, Clark, Campbell, Scheffler, Schauffele, Siwoo Kim. Don't like Siwoo Kim around here. I think it just a little bit too wild with the putter, in my opinion. Ryo Satsuna as well, having another great one turn. He's around with Jason Day, past winner here, Alex Nairn, and Matt Fitzpatrick, Aaron Rai, Higo. Some good groupings there to look out for tomorrow. Tommy Fleetwood, Collin Morikawa, Rory McIlroy. That's an absolute bumper. JJ Spawn, Oberg, Matsuyama, Hovland, Lowry, and Young. Should be really disappointed with Cameron Young this season. Hasn't really kicked on at all. But anyway, it does get underway 3:15 p.m. on Sky Sports, and obviously a little bit later if you're in the US. It'll be a little bit earlier if you're obviously in the US. It'll be in the morning time there for you guys. So it is. We're going to get a winner this week. So from Niall McGrath, enjoy your weekend. Have a few pints. Good luck. Good night. Cheers.
All right.